Hey, Writerly Besties, welcome back to the Writing with Anna New podcast, where we talk about all things writing. In today's episode, I am so excited to be talking about characters. Y'all know how much I freaking love characters. That's basically the whole reason I write, really. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to make your characters realistic. How do you make them feel like real people and therefore make your audience, your readers, feel what your characters are feeling? So let's go ahead and get straight into this episode. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to be talking about is how to make your characters 3D like. So firstly, I want you guys to think about the character you're creating and the character you're basically focusing on in regards to, making them realistic, right? And first, I want you to kind of think about what are the weaknesses and flaws of that character. I feel like a lot of people just think about the strengths of particular characters and the good things about them, but I think the one main thing to make a character look 3D and feel real is that they have problems and that they have weaknesses and phobias and flaws and quirks, and they have a bad perception of reality or they have trauma. Like, these are all the things that I really encourage you guys to focus on. And I think also, I'm sorry if you hear the wind outside. It's super, super windy today. But anyways, yeah, so think about all these different things, all the bad things about your characters, and it might seem a bit like, I don't know, a bit like, I don't want to, think about this. Like, my character's good, but like, no, they're going to have problems like you as a real person. They're going to have flaws, things that they're bad at, things that they're struggling with. And usually you can kind of come up with these ideas through, there's lots of like different posts, for example, on Instagram, or you can just look up character quirks or character flaws like online, and you get like heaps of ideas. I'm going to be talking about a few of my characters and their sort of weird quirks that I honestly have come up with, or that are my own quirks and own little things that I do, if that makes sense. So for example, my character Red, who's in my Project Ghost story, she has this really weird quirk where she kind of like, whenever she gets into a breakdown episode, she always sees herself from the bird's eye view and always gets so, I don't know, like she feels so small in that sort of situation that she almost has like an outside body experience where she sees herself, crowded in the little cubicle bathroom, and she sees herself like on the toilet seat crying. And that's like a really sort of deep dive into a sort of weird quirk that a character has. And I don't know how I came up with that idea. I think I was just writing it like that, and I wanted to kind of, I don't know, see and explore the characters' like own feelings about their own feelings. Does that make sense? Like, we're going deep here. Okay, so this is really how you make your characters seem real, because this is like something like what Red has that little quirk on. Like, that's something that I don't even know. Like, it's interesting, right? And it's really alarming sometimes. So yeah, that's an example of Red. Let me see, what's another character who has a certain thing. What's another quirk that I do? Let me think. I feel like one of my characters, Alexander, he's so funny. I love Alexander. He's in Project Orchestra. He's like one of my favorite characters I've ever created so far, so I really, really love him. But he has a certain quirk where basically he is very attentive and perceptive of how the other people, how basically, like, when he like talks to people, he sees their every reaction, and like he somehow is able to read them so well that they're like extra self-aware. Like, that's a sort of quirk that he has, and sometimes it's actually a weakness because he's kind of overthinking about what they're talking about or what they're feeling, or like what certain things mean. So he might kind of what's the word, sort of be wrong about what someone else is doing, because they might be seeming like they don't like Alex because of the way that their eyes shift, but maybe they're just nervous talking to him. Do you know what I mean? Like, that sort of weakness, that sort of like bad habit that Alex can't really help, but that just makes him seem like a really interesting character, someone who's self-aware. And then you can kind of like get into why he's like that and why he's super extra aware of what the other person is thinking, and reads their behavioral sort of behavior. So that's another thing, at least that's kind of what I do as well. So of course, if you need ideas, just look inwardly. Like, you have so many quirks as a human being. There's surely something that you can do. It can be even simply like you bite your nails, or you overthink, or like, the bad sort of things you feel about yourself. And it might, seem a bit like, oh my gosh, this is kind of like exploding myself. But like, no, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Um, so yeah, make your characters not bad people, but just like make them struggle with things. And I think that's most important. And I think just like before I move on to the next main thing, is ensure that you have your characters, like, make sure their perception of reality is like grounded. Like, make sure that they have a particular stance, a particular point of view of the world and of other people and of themselves as well. Yeah, make sure that like they need to have an opinion, basically. Make them have an opinion about the world. Okay, so yeah, that's the last thing I want to talk about with that. This kind of like leads very well into the next topic, which I guess is probably the most important thing. So I hope you have listened up until now. And this is something I've talked about in one of my character videos. I have a lot of different character videos. I have it linked in the iCard if you guys want to check it out. If you are on my YouTube channel, watching the video podcast. However, yeah, that video is kind of like how I develop my characters, and I have like a character profile which includes this sort of section. And this is basically seeing how your characters change within your book. So in order to make your characters realistic, they need to change and grow depending on what happens to them in the book. So the plot happens to the characters, but also the characters happen to the plot. It's kind of like an interchange sort of dynamic within your book, right? So basically what I was talking about in that video was that your characters need to have a backstory, a present story, and a future story. And I kind of described it in the video and had it as like an actual sort of box thing, where you actually fill in, what your character looks like, before the story starts, as the story is starting, and then at the end of the story and beyond. So I really do encourage you guys to kind of think about this. If you do want to have a fully like rounded character, to think about what happened in their past life and also what will happen in their future life. And this gives a lot of context to how the story is gonna actually unfold, and how that story is going to influence your character in that way. So I think that's honestly very, very important. And then through here, you can see how maybe their strengths have developed, maybe how their weaknesses have worsened, perhaps, or maybe that, how they've developed these certain quirks. Like, why did Alex, why does he get super worked up, or like too perceptive, yeah, he's just too analytical with people, and like, why is that so? And I'll look into the past life and see like his backstory and his sort of trauma to deal with that. So yeah, that's something that I can explore within that part of that document that I shared in that video. So if you guys want to check out that, yeah, definitely do. I think I do have the actual template for free in the description box of that video, so definitely download it if you can. And a lot of people also don't know how to download it. You basically just copy and paste it as soon as you open the link. So yeah, that's basically that. Anyways, I love you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope it's made sense. It was just like kind of interesting talking about how to make your characters realistic, because that's probably like the most important thing in order to make your characters, seem real. And therefore, it's kind of like the whole point of your story, for your characters to experience stuff and for your readers to connect with that stuff. Anyways, I love you guys, and I hope to see you in my next episode. Okay, bye. Bye, guys. See ya.